YouTube, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today guys, we are doing the CRYSTRON guide for this upcoming June 1. So this is going to be released alongside Mimigos. Now the thing about this is that this has been released in the TCG and the OCG for quite some time, and they have been doing good so far. Now the typical cards that we're going to talk about, we're just going to talk about the newer cards or the significant ones that people are running in the deck nowadays in both OCG and TCG. Without further ado, let's talk about first the showcase for the new CRYSTRON supports. Alright, so let's go. Okay guys, so here we are with the CRYSTRON new supports. So there are 5 new cards coming into the game by June 1. So 2 main deck monsters, 1 spell, 1 trap, and then 1 extra deck monsters. So 2 monsters, let's talk about CRYSTRON first. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can spell summon 1 CRYSTRON monster from your deck, except the CRYSTRON. Then immediately after this card resolves, synchro summon 1 machine synchro monster using monsters you control, including that monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard, destroy 1 synchro monster you control, and if you do, spell summon 2 CRYSTRON monsters from your deck. Also, you can spell summon from your extra deck for the rest of the turn except machine monsters. I think the reason why they locked us into machine monsters only because there are a lot of level 9s or level 7s that are pretty good to summon to the field. With regards to the number of copies for this, I would advise go for 3 copies of this because this is level 2. And the best part about this is it can special summon 2 additional bodies from your deck. Doesn't state in any level, but as long as you have a CRYSTRON name on that monster. Next up, we have also Solfador. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target one CRYSTRON card you control, destroy it, and if you do, spell summon this card. Also, you can spell summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except machine monsters. If this card is normal or spell summon, you can send up to 2 CRYSTRON cards with different names from your deck to the graveyard. So additional 2 cards to dump to the graveyard. The best thing about the CRYSTRON supports or even the older and new cards, they can actually float. So they have pretty good effects in the graveyard, which interacts on hand or on the field, which is kind of nuts. So with regards to the number of copies for the Solfador, I would advise just go for 2 copies of this in your main deck. They're just running 2 copies of this because they don't want to break on Solfador alone. There's one other level 5 which we'll talk about later on, which is this one here. But yes, we'll talk about the newer cards first. Then we have the CRYSTRON clusters. CRYSTRON cards you control cannot be banished by your opponent's card effects. So typically, you can now go up against Blue Eyes without fearing Drill Beam banishing your cards. You can target one face-up card on the field, or you can target 2 cards if you control a CRYSTRON synchro monster. So that's kind of neat. Shuffle 1 CRYSTRON card from your graveyard or banishment into the deck. So it's also a recycler if ever you need to. And if you do, destroy the targeted cards, which is kind of good at its own right. And it's a continuous trap. By the means of accessing this from your deck, I'll talk about it in the combo later on, but nevertheless, you can actually do this one with the cards that we got earlier here. So this is kind of good. With regards to the number of copies, just go with 1 copy. Very important card as well for the archetype, or yeah, for the newer supports. And then lastly, for the main deck, we have CRYSTRON Inclusion. When this card is activated, you can add 1 CRYSTRON card from your deck to your hand. Except the inclusion, the first time each CRYSTRON monster you control would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. You can banish this card from your graveyard and target 1 CRYSTRON monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So another good form of adding a body on the field for any like materials for our Exe or a Link. That's kind of good. And that is your inclusion, and that is your main deck. Lastly, with regards to the number of copies, of course, for the inclusion, definitely go for 3 copies of this because it's an easy add to your hand. And lastly, for the extra deck monster, we have the Skeletus. 1 tuner, 1 non-tuner monster. All monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. If this card is synchro summon, you can add 1 CRYSTRON card from your graveyard or banishment to your hand. That's kind of nuts. If this synchro summon card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can spell summon 1 CRYSTRON monster from your graveyard or banishment. So additional body for an extender for your plays. That's kind of good. Definitely have this one on 2 copies because yeah, you might need other slots in your extra deck for this. So just run 2 copies of this if ever. Now that is the newer cards for your main deck and your extra deck. Now for the other older supports or older cards for the CRYSTRON archetype, let's talk about it. So we have, first and foremost, we have CRYSTRON Fifth-Near. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can discard 1 CRYSTRON card, spell summon this card, which is kind of good because if you discard another CRYSTRON card, it floats in the graveyard. That's an additional body. Then destroy one card you control. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can spell summon one Christian monster from your deck in defense position. Take note, you can also target Solfafnir for this effect. So if this card is popped, you can spell summon another body to the field, plus the Christian monster that you dump to the graveyard. Magical. So definitely 3 copies of this if ever you have it. Next up, we have a copy of Fistburn. You can target one face-up card you control. You cannot spell summon monsters from the extra deck except machine monsters. Also, destroy that card you targeted. Spell summon one Christian tuner from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Christian monster from your deck to your hand. So that's a pretty good card effect as well to search out any other Christian card that you might need for your combo. Basically, you just need 1 copy of this. It's a good card though, just adding cards, but yeah, typically you just need 1 copy. Then you have the Smyger. You can target one face-up card you control. You cannot spell summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except machines. Destroy that card, and if you do, spell summon one Christian tuner from your deck. So that's another good body as well. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Christian spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Before, there were no proper good targets for Christians, spell or traps. Now we have the inclusion that you can search out with a copy of Smyger. With regards to the number of copies, they basically just run 3 copies of this. Ryan, not many people are running this one. Then we have the Tortoise. You can target one face-up card you control. You cannot spell summon monsters from the extra deck except machine monsters. Also destroy that card. And if you do, spell summon one Christian tuner from your deck. That's kind of good. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Spell summon one Christian monster from your hand. That's pretty good though as well. So typically people are just running 1 copy of this in their decks. Next up, we have Citri. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase, you can target one non-tuner in your graveyard. Spell summon it, but its effects are negated. I think the purpose for this one is just for the synchro summon. Then immediately after this card resolves, synchro summon. Yeah, 1 machine synchro monster using only that monster and this card. That's kind of good though for level 2. People are running 2 copies of this in their deck, which is kind of good though. And then we have Quan. No player is running Quan. Extra deck monster though, we have Quandrax. So 2 tuners, 1 non-tuner. If this card is synchro summon, you can target monsters your opponent controls and or in their graveyard up to the number of materials used for the synchro summon of this card, which is kind of good though. You banish them. If this synchro summon card is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can target one banished monster, except this card spell summon it in your field. So it doesn't really state if it's your banished card or your opponent. So this is kind of whack if ever. You can have this destroyed by a copy of Crystron and cycle it back by the copy of Cluster. That way you can still reuse this one during the next turn. So yeah, definitely 2 copies of this. Another good synchro monster that you can actually summon to the field. Then you have the Phoenix. Not many people are running this though. But if this card is synchro summoned, you can banish all spell and trap cards your opponent controls and in their graveyard. So this is a kind of a good card against Sky Strikers in a sense. Ametrix. If this card is synchro summoned, you can change all face-up spell summon monsters your opponent controls to defense position. Not quite that significant, but it's a good tech to add in your deck if ever, or you need be. Then lastly, you have the Quandax. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase, you can immediately after this card resolves, synchro summon 1 synchro monster. So yeah, pretty good card, but nevertheless, it's a level 4 though. Not many people are running this. Hockey Fire Rex. Goddamn, this is already banned in both TCG, OCG, and Master Duel. But anyways, those are significant cards widely used in the CRYSTRON deck. Let's move on to the Master Duel deck list that I'm going to showcase to you guys. Okay, and then afterwards we're going to go into the combos. Alright, so let's go. So typically, this is what I've been using so far for the deck. Now, there are like a couple of good engines and tech cards that you can use for this deck. We'll talk about it in a bit. So, Tidal is another good card to have with this deck because you can just dump a water monster, which is typically the main attribute for the CRYSTRON archetype. So you dump them to the graveyard and then you basically just send 1 monster from your deck to the grave, which is kind of insane if ever that would be the case. So you send 1 additional water monster, 1 of these CRYSTRON cards that also floats. Kind of nuts. Ash Maxi, 3 Thesaurus, 1 copy of Tortoise, 2 copies of Citri, 2 Veilers, 1 copy of Foolish Burial. And take note about this archetype. There is plenty of room for this archetype to run non-archetype cards. and you can run some board breakers, non-engine hand traps, counter hand traps for that matter, if you, ever you like. But yeah, pretty good deck if ever. Extra deck, one bar on the floor. Also Summary Destroyer if you're going against Senpai. Level 5s, which is also pretty good because you can go into a copy of Chronomaly Vinmana, which is also a monster negate, which is kind of good. And then your typical Cyber Dragon Nova into a copy of Infinity, which is a pretty good Omni negate on the field, which is kind of nuts. Then your Almirage. Now, if we have the copy of Clockwork Knight here, Clockwork, sorry, not the Dota 1. So Clockwork Knight, if you have this, you can summon this from a machine monster on the field. So that is basically it. Yeah, that is your pure version for the CRYSTRON. Let's move on to the second variant. Okay, so the next variant that we're gonna talk about, and this might be the last one here. So this one is the CRYSTRON and Horus. Now there is the CRYSTRON and Kashtira one, though. It's just basically one Fenrir, two copies of the Unicorn, one Birth, and the one copy of the Field Spell. That's basically your CRYSTRON and Kashtira deck with the Bar on the floor that can easily be accessible for you. But there is also another variant, which is the Horus, which is kind of nuts because you use the effect of the Mseti, dump another card. If you dump a CRYSTRON card, then typically you are good to go with the combo if ever need be. If you have the Smiger, send it to the graveyard, use the effect, get a copy of the inclusion, and you can combo it off. That's kind of good though. We're also using Super Poly for this because yes, Super Poly is pretty good. But yeah, that's basically your variant here for the Horus. But anyways, that is basically it. Let's move on to the tech cards that you can use for this deck. Alright, so let's go. Okay, so for the tech cards of this deck, first and foremost, like what you saw earlier, Tidal is a pretty good card because you can dump cards to the graveyard. So you can dump also another CRYSTRON monster to the graveyard if ever need be. But yes, the main archetype for the CRYSTRONs are all water, so you can dump one of them to the graveyard for the float, and then you can dump another one for another float, which is kind of good though. I think one minor problem with this in Master Duel is this is kind of expensive because this is a UR. But yeah, typically you can just run 2 copies of this if need be. But yeah, running 3 is not totally a bummer, to be honest, because you can just dump another copy of Tidal if ever you draw into 2 copies of this during your starting hand. Because as long as you dump another water monster to the graveyard, you're good to go with the combo. So that's Tidal for you. Super Poly is another good card as well. You can dump another water monster from your hand for the cost of Super Polymerization. Another thing here is Therian King Regulus, which is also you can just target a machine monster in your graveyard, which is typically the main type for the CRYSTRONs. So Regulus is another good card to have just for the Omni Negate. Next up, also Forbidden Droplet. The amount of cards that you can send to the graveyard just for the negation is kind of good. So having a copy of this might be pretty nice. And then for the extra deck monsters, you have Cherubini. So you just need 2 level 3s for this one. Now there is a build that I ran a while ago, which you can just use a copy of Terratops. So Terratops spell summon to the field, and then you special summon the Takitamberg to the field. That's 2 level 3s. Use the 2 bodies for a Cherubini, and then dump or 1 level 3 monster from your deck to the graveyard. So the Smiger can be dumped to the graveyard for the effect in getting access to the inclusion after you use the effect of Cherubini. Upon destroying your Synchro Summon monster on the field, make sure that the Synchro Summon monster is not pointed to the arrows of Cherubini because monsters this card points to cannot be destroyed by card effects. So pretty good protection as well if you're, going up against another deck that destroys cards. Needless to say, that's basically it. Aurora Dawn. Now take note, this is still accessible in Master Duel. There are other builds that we can actually use with this to go into further or hard combo. It's basically a stretch here because the reason why we got locked into machine monsters is to avoid this type of deal. But this is a good tech card if ever you want to further on with the combos for Bar on the Floor, Borreload Savage, the Colossus on the field, which is an easy access if ever you'll have it with the CRYSTRONs. But we shall see about that once we got the new supports. That's Mecha Phantom Beast Aurora Dawn. Axel Synchron, you got that one as well. Another good level 5 for attack. We talked about Clockwork Knight a while ago. The Zombie Vampire is another good card as well. If you're running Horus, that's 2 level 8s, and then you can just dump a buttload of cards to the graveyard. If you hit a Water Monster that floats or a Crystal Monster that floats, pretty good. And then we move on to the pretty good level 9 Synchro Monsters, which is the Vermilion Dragon Mech. So once per turn, you can banish 1 tuner from your graveyard or face up on the field and target 1 card on the field. This is not upon summon effect, so take note of that one. But the other one though, which is the Navy Dragon Mech. So if this card is special summon, you can target 1 face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of tuners in your graveyard, negate their effects until the end of the turn, which is kind of good though for additional negates. So that's Navy Dragon Mech. And lastly, we have the Clifford Genius. You just need 2 machine monsters for this, and you can spell summon 2 bodies on the field at the same time. It triggers the effect as well. So yeah, that's another good card to have as well. So that's your tech cards. Let's move on to the engines. Okay, so for the engines for this deck, you saw a couple of them a while ago. So first and foremost, we have the Horus. Like I said earlier, you dump 1 card to the graveyard just for the draw and a copy of the Sarcophagus. That's basically a Horus engine, and you can go into a copy of Zombie Vampire dumping more cards to the graveyard, which is kind of neat. Then you have the Castira line, which is the Fenrir, the 2 copies of Unicorn, the Birth, and the Field Spell, which of course it is a level 7. You just need a level 3, and as long as you're not locked into machine monsters, you can summon a copy of Baron the Flirt on the field, or a level 10 Synchro Monster. Nevertheless, that's pretty good. Next up, we have also the Fiendsmith. I don't want to show the Fiendsmith because it's already a cringy archetype to pair it with any type of deck. So yeah, you can run Fiendsmith with this as one of your starters, and then you move on with your CRYSTRONs. That of course, if you are not locked into machine monsters. So that's Fiendsmith. And then another one here is Water Entrances as well. The continuous spell for the Adventure engine dumps 1 card to the graveyard. So another good plus to this engine as well. So that's the Adventure engine. Another minor engine is also the Speedroid Terratop, which you can go into a copy of Cherubini if you like. Speedroid Terratop and Speedroid Takitumber. And lastly, of course, the Azamina line. Now, what cards can we put with this? Well, you can typically run a copy of Deception of the Sinful Spoils, which dumps 1 card, or tribute to 1 monster from hand or field. So if you dump a Water Monster that floats, then you gain access to this, and you gain access to an Omni Negate, which is the Sylvia. And the one that you dumped earlier, you can just use that effect. If you have the CRYSTRON's dog, you can use the effect, gain access to the inclusion. So that is basically your engines there, guys. Let's move on to the final point of this video, which is the combos. Okay, there we go. So this is the same thing, Smiger as well for the starter, or if you have the copy of the inclusion, another good starter as well. Anyways, let's continue. So Smiger the field, link up again. Almirage. Smiger, get a copy of inclusion. There we go. We should get a copy of Solfador. Solfador spells on the field. Down 2 cards. So yeah, banish that one there. Get a copy of the Tortoise. Use the effect of Soulfifnir, dumping 1 card from the hand, spell summon to the field, popping itself, spell summon another body from the field up to the field. Go for Tristaris, and we go Synchro Summon to a copy of Skeletus. Skeletus gain access to a card from our graveyard. Typically get to level 5. Tristaris, pop the Synchro Summon monster. Special summon 2 bodies, the level 5 and another copy of Tristaris. And then the effect of the Synchro Summon monster, spell summon the level 2 from the Banish pile. Banish the turtle, spell summon the Soulfodder from our hand. And we go into a copy of Nova. And then lastly, go into a copy of Infinity. Absorb the Almirage if you like, but you can choose not to if ever. And then go for Inclusion, spell summon another body from the graveyard, which is another level 5. So the purpose for this is that, so your, your Quandrax typically needs 2 tuners and 1 non-tuner here. So this is typically the materials that you need upon summon. But yeah, that's typically what it is. But yeah, that's basically the combo for it. Let's move on to the last combo. All right, so like I said earlier, we just need the inclusion. That's basically it. So go for inclusion here. Gain access to one card. We go for a copy of Sulfador here. Sulfador, activate. Popping the continuous spell. Spell summon to the field. Dumping 2 cards to the grave. We dump a copy of the cluster, the trap card, and then lastly this one here. The purpose for this, we use the effect first of this one here, the CRYSTRON. Add the Tristaris to our hand. Then you normal summon this, and then you sync off into a copy of Esqueletus. Upon summon, gain access to the trap card from the graveyard. There you go. Or the banish pile, either way, but you must get the trap card for this. Use the effect of Tristaris. Pop the Secret Monster. And then spell summon 2 bodies. Now the bodies you summon to the field really depends on you. But for the sake of this combo, you can go for the level 5. And let's see, go for C3, I guess. There you go, C3 in the field for your interaction during your opponent's turn, which is kind of good. And then for the effect of Esqueletus, you spell to summon another body from the banish pile or the level 5, either way. So we can go for level 5 here. That's it. And then use the effect of inclusion here just to summon another body in the graveyard. So you can summon another body after you whatever. So yeah, with this you can go for Dragster or a copy of Nova. Either way, it's up to you. But yeah, that's okay. I think that's basically it. You summon that, get this, Nova to the field, and then your Infinity. Here. Okay. So 1 Omni-Negate, and then you have a free body that you can actually use. There you go. So a level 7 plus a level 9 that you can use into a copy of the Navy Dragon we can actually use with this. But yeah, I forgot to add that one there. So that's tuner and then a non-tuner that you can summon into a copy of Navy Dragon Mech. Omni-Negate plus a pop of the cluster and the C3 Secret Summon. That's kind of good. That's kind of whack. That is your whole combo for the game. Yeah, that's it basically, guys. What are your thoughts on the new CRYSTRON? I do think that this is going to be very promising once it's going to be in Master Duel. But yeah, that's basically it for today, guys. Keep safe, good luck. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.